US President Donald Trump says he won't cut US tariffs on Chinese goods to get Beijing to the negotiating table. His comments Wednesday came ahead of Saturday's icebreaker trade talks between China and the US in Geneva. Until talks were announced this week, there had been no clear sign the world's top two economies wanted to defuse a trade war disrupting the global economy. And as tensions ratcheted up, Beijing has repeatedly said it wouldn't start talking with the US unless tariffs were suspended.
China says in order to have substantive negotiations, you have to bring down your 145% tariffs. Are you open to pulling back your tariffs in order to get China to the negotiating table?
No.
China's Commerce Ministry also claimed the US approached Beijing to start talking, but on Wednesday Trump seemed to suggest the opposite. Meanwhile, the Trump administration is considering exempting car seats, baby strollers, cribs, and other essential items for transporting children from the 145% tariffs in place on China. That's according to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who testified before the House Financial Services Committee Wednesday. Trump sent mixed signals later. He told reporters he would look at specific industry requests for exemptions, but preferred to keep the duties broader and less complicated.
I want to make it nice and simple. I'm not looking to have so many exemptions that nobody knows what it's doing. We have to make it very simple.
Late in the day, Trump also teased a major trade deal with representatives of a big and highly respected country that he'd announced Thursday. The New York Times reported shortly after that it was a deal with the UK, citing 3 people familiar with the plans. It would mark the first trade deal struck since Trump's self-styled Liberation Day, when he imposed tariffs on all countries in early April. A White House spokesperson declined to comment on the Times report.
Let's turn to Ukraine, can we? Because you compared the war in Ukraine with the Second World War. President Trump is now saying, look, if you want peace, Ukraine is going to have to give up some territory. Some people think that is common sense to say that. Do you think it's not common sense? It's perhaps modern-day appeasement?
It is modern-day appeasement. Look, listen to what Putin said when he talked about going from Kyiv into Ukraine. And why? He can't stand the fact that the Russian dictatorship that he runs, that the Soviet Union has collapsed. And anybody thinks he's going to stop is just foolish.
What do they think they are to move us to caravans? This will never happen. Even if they build castles for us, we will not accept. Let them demolish half of the house and give me the other half. I would rather live in a room than in a castle outside the refugee camp. This camp is our life.
Shares in Google owner Alphabet tumbled over 7% on Wednesday, wiping some $150 billion off its market value, and it's Apple to blame. The drop came after a Reuters source said the iPhone maker is planning to add AI search to its Safari internet browser. The source cited Apple executive Eddie Q. If confirmed, the move could pose a huge threat to Google, which is currently the default search engine on Safari. The firm pays Apple around $20 billion a year for the privilege, or more than a third of the search advertising revenue it generates through the browser. The position also helps it dominate the market for search-related advertising, for which it has a near monopoly. Now that could be threatened if Apple's own AI offering takes some market share. Google also faces other potential rivals, including OpenAI, which has added search functions to ChatGPT. The Reuters source says Q said a shift was already underway, with searches on Safari down last month for the first time as users moved to AI services. However, Google is far from defenseless in the face of change. It has poured billions of dollars into AI research, leveraging its vast troves of data. The firm has also expanded its AI overviews. That's the summaries that now appear above the traditional list of search results. Chief Executive Sundar Pichai said last month that he hoped to strike a deal with Apple to use Google's Gemini AI technology on new phones.
A Kenyan court fined 4 men on Wednesday for attempting to traffic thousands of ants out of the country. 2 Belgian teenagers, a Vietnamese man and a Kenyan national, were arrested on April 5th, accused of trying to smuggle roughly 5,440 giant African harvester ant queens in modified test tubes and syringes. Kenyan prosecutors valued the ants at around 1.2 million Kenyan shillings, or $9,300. Retail prices in the UK, however, suggest the haul could have fetched as much as $1 million if it had reached European shores. There, ant enthusiasts maintain colonies in large transparent vessels known as formicariums to observe their cooperative behaviour.
Lona and Sepe are sentenced to pay a fine.
Wildlife experts say the Kenyan case signals a shift in biopiracy from iconic animals like elephants to lesser-known species. All 4 traffickers pleaded guilty. They were each ordered to pay a $7,700 fine or face 12 months in jail.